Hello, I can't do any work.
Type 1
Hello everybody, and a big warm welcome to the beginning of this year's Tech Series from DigiTalks. We're really excited to welcome you all into our studio today to talk about all things diabetes tech. We've got so many great things coming up over the coming weeks. So today we've got an introductory talk on diabetes tech. We've got some very special guests from Dr. Fiona Campbell and Professor Partha Carr, who's coming to talk to us about all the things that are happening in diabetes tech in terms of strategy and getting HCL out into our hands. And then we have some special events where we've partnered with Dexcom on Thursday, the 8th of May, which is a definitely not to be missed, followed by ABBA, again, a really powerful piece where we'll have a lived experience on both of those, and indeed Medtronic as well. So we'll have young people, families, young adults all talking about their experiences of using the different technologies. So a really worthwhile series. And for those of you who miss this at any time, you can catch up on DigiTalks on DigiBete, and the links will be going out through the show. So today we're going to be talking again as well, just giving a little bit of a shout out to our tech partners, Medtronic, Dexcom, Omnipod, Abbott, Gluco, Air Liquide as well, who have all participated in bringing lots of information onto the DigiBete site and app into your hands, so that we can all make better choices about the diabetes tech that we're receiving and using to improve our lives with type 1 diabetes. So, we're going to be continuing our series. We're going to be learning about all the different technology resources. Here on the 1st of May, we're streaming out to the various social media sites as well. And you can register on the tech page for any of the other events and get kind of reminders and things. We're going to be hearing from our guest speakers, as we mentioned before, Dr. Fiona Campbell and Professor Partha Carr, who are absolutely both real powerhouses in this space in terms of making sure that the money's available, and also making sure that all the guidelines and we're working hard behind the scenes to make this tech work for our families. with lots of lived experiences to share with you, lots of families who have tried out all the different tech, and I'm sure you'll find those really, really useful, but also resources to signpost from ourselves at DigiBete, Breakthrough T1D and Diabetes UK, who can all help you make the right decisions in terms of what's right for you. So you can find more information about all the tech resources that we're talking about tonight on our website, our app. You can email us if you need any further information or advice. And you can also visit digibete.org/DigiTalks to watch this again and get further information. So we're asking you to introduce yourselves in the chat box tonight, so please do. But I'm also going to introduce myself. So I'm Maddie Julian, and I'm one of the founders of DigiBete, and I'm here today because we're really, really passionate about getting technology into everybody's hands and making sure that technology is the right technology for you and your family. So I have a little boy with type 1 who's now 11, so he's not that little anymore. Probably hate me for saying he's little, but we've grown up with this too, diagnosed at 20 months. So we've been on the journey with you. And I can see lots of people coming to screen. Hi, Sarah, nice to see you today. Your daughter's Bella, and she was diagnosed. I've seen a few others that are coming through as well. Welcome, and welcome to everybody who's taking the time out today on this beautiful sunny evening to learn a little bit more about what we've got in terms of the world of technology and how DigiBete can support you. If you've got any questions for Parthikar, for Professor Parthikar, please pop the questions that you have from in the chat box now. We've also got a conversation with Fiona happening shortly, in a minute or so. And if you've got any questions for her, please do. We maybe will answer those on the page after the event or within the chat. So just our Digi values then, our DigiTalk values. We want you to have fun. We want you to be kind. We want you to be respectful, obviously, be inclusive, respect privacy, and be responsible. And I think these are values that we all share anyway, but we put them up because, it shows that we care, and we care about your safety, how you feel about events. And if you have any feelings of anything that's triggering you or whatever, please do get in contact with us, and we'll be happy to look at how we present these in the future. We're always learning, and together we can really make life a bit better with type 1. So again, more information on the website, the app, and on the email as well. So we've got a technology survey out at the moment, which we'd really, really love your input into. So we're looking at kind of what technology people are using and whether we can create more resources that are helpful on DigiBete for you, especially around kind of pre-choosing a pump. So it's not necessarily about like what that pump does, because at that point, the education is probably going to come from the manufacturers. But actually, before choosing your pump, what do you need to know? So we're really keen for you to fill in our survey. Let us know what we can do better, and so we can continually improve everything that we do. Okay, so I think we have Dr. Fiona Campbell in the studio. Hi, Fiona, are you with us?
Hello, I am with you. Yes,
Brilliant.
I am. Yeah, thank you very much for your intro, Maddie, telling everyone what's going on.
Yeah, welcome to DigiTalk. So, Fiona, we've got a whole community out there of people who are accessing the diabetes technology, who are benefiting from all the work that kind of happens behind the scenes. So we thought this would be a great opportunity, really, for you to introduce yourself, what you do behind the scenes a little bit, and how you've seen the technology kind of evolve in your career, and what drives this continuing passion that I think we all have for making lives better with type 1, but especially from the technology front. So I'll hand over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Maddie. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm Fiona Campbell. I'm a consultant in children and young people's diabetes care at Leeds at the teaching hospital there in West Yorkshire. I've been a consultant there for over 30 years and practicing in diabetes care for almost 40 years. So it's been a very long journey in the diabetes health space for me. So I started off when we had to just test urine for glucose. There was no ability to test blood glucose on strips. And we were in the era of pig insulin and bovine insulin, glass syringes and sharpening needles for reuse. So you can imagine in somebody's career, we've gone from being at that point right through to where we are today, and that's offering the automated delivery of insulin according to glucose values recorded on sensors. So it's been a long journey, an exciting journey, because I'm taking part in some of the research that's actually got the evidence from what we say the bench to the bedside, where patients benefit directly. So that's been an absolutely fantastic journey. I fitted the first pump in my cohort of patients way back in 2002. I can remember it was October half term, and I can remember the patient and their family very vividly. And since then, we've gone through all the different iterations of technology. We feel, I feel, but we feel in our service in Leeds that the technology, sensor technology and pump technology has really revolutionised how families, young people and young adults and adults look after themselves. Definitely improved the outcomes for these individuals, particularly if they use the technology as it's meant to be used. And we go see clinics of patients now, even the very young, in my caseload, where we're getting really good outcomes as measured by A1C or time in range, as we're all familiar with. But more importantly to me really is that the families report a better quality of life. They report more relaxed sleeping conditions, less fear of hypoglycemia, and obviously the individuals living with diabetes have less interventions in the form of injections and blood testing. So for all these reasons, if not others, the advent of technology and access to it has been an absolutely life-changing event for them, and definitely professionally a much more satisfying way of assisting and advising the families to manage their diabetes. So it's been really great. I've been lucky, obviously benefited from Partha's help as well for accessing the technology, accessing the sensors, the funding streams. But in West Yorkshire, we've always tried our very best to optimise access to the technology. I completely appreciate that there is still a postcode lottery, and some areas of the cities and the regions get better access or quicker access to what they need. But we're working really hard to try and eliminate postcode lottery. So for families that are still struggling to access in a timely way, be rest assured that we're doing our best to try and get access when access is needed as soon as we possibly can. So hopefully that answers your question, Maddie.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes an absolute army, doesn't it, to move and turn these cogs. And I think the passion amongst lots of healthcare professionals with diabetes, it's just something very tangible, isn't it? And a lot of people will say with other health conditions, there's just not always the same passion. But I would say to you a question really, Fiona, what about patients or young people who don't want the technology? They don't want it to be visible.
Absolutely. Well, I know we're tasked, and I agree with it completely, that every young person who wants this. And when I mean young person, is lots of people think they're young, even I think I'm young, and I'm not. But we're really talking children and young people up to the age of 19. That's where my remit is, and that's where the priority group lie. We're very keen to extend that from 19 to 25 for everybody all over the country, and there's discussions underway about making that happen too. But if we just restrict ourselves to the younger ones, we have to be realistic that not everybody wants to use this technology, but we're aiming for It's near to 90% of all our type 1 0 to 19-year-olds using hybrid closed loop as soon as we can. We want all people that have glucose instability, as we see in diabetes, to be wearing sensor technology, because that really does assist them. And if they choose to use a multiple daily injection regimen with a sensor, we respect that decision and we optimize their diabetes outcome using that way forward. So we don't want a second-class citizen approach to, well, you're not on a pump, so we don't really care. What we want to do is try and overcome the barriers to adoption of the hybrid closed loop and support the families, the young person to, move forward in that direction where we can. If we can't, we respect that and we optimize what we can do.
And I think just thank you, Fiona, in the last couple of minutes we've got with you, I think the last thing I'd like to sort of say is, I'm not sure you quite covered it but the work you do behind the scenes in terms of the National Diabetes Networks to pull together healthcare professionals to try and support. Do you want to say anything about that in terms of
Yes, I can do. I mean, the National Networks for Children and Young People is really important. It's something that we started off as a collaborative of like-minded, enthusiastic professionals wanting to improve outcomes, and it's really about 15 years ago. We now can say that we've got a comprehensive coverage of England and Wales, and we have a setup where we support professional development and peer support discussion and standards of care setting and monitoring through it. And we're all trying very hard to make sure that a child, a young person in the south of England has the same opportunity as one in the north or the west. So trying to see a one service, delivered on multiple sites type system of working across the country. So the national network is there to support that and to support clinical colleagues where they feel that postcode lottery may be a really big deal, and how a collective through the network can support their discussions with local commissioners of services. So it is a really important network. We've worked hard over the years to maintain it, and it still goes from strength to strength really over the years. So families know that discussions are linked all over the country about what they're experiencing and indeed what they should experience, which is sometimes more to the point.
Fantastic. Thank you, Fiona. We've run out of time, but I just want to say a huge thank you from us and from the whole community for the work that goes behind the scenes in the National Diabetes Networks. And DigiBete does our best to try and put some of those resources out that come from the discussions. And I think this is why we try to combine quality and improve what's happening. We're going to just quickly go to a short video now showing you a little bit more about what's on DigiBete. And then we're coming back, it'll just be 1 minute, and we're going to be seeing Professor Parthakar and answering some difficult questions, because he's told me he's happy for some difficult questions. So they're coming your way, Partha. See you in a few. great. You'll know from that video, you can see lots of resources in the DigiBete app, and they're there to support you. If you haven't got a clinic code, please contact your clinic or get in contact with DigiBete, and we'll be happy to support you in making sure that you can get access to everything that's there. So, hi, Partha. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hello.
Yeah. So, I suppose first things first, introduce yourself as if you need to. I think everybody knows you, but a little bit about kind of maybe your work in the space and what you've been doing over the last few years in just a short space, and how you think diabetes tech has evolved over time to support us all, and then we can talk about rollout and access.
Okay, so very simply put, I have been the lead for type 1 diabetes and technology for 9 years and a bit now. So 2016 it started, we're in 2025, so this year is going to be a decade, so that's me. How far has technology come? I think I always defined it in this way. I think nowadays in 2025 there'll be people, or especially children, who are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and they will never know what it is to prick their fingers regularly or inject themselves with insulin regularly. That is a phenomenal jump compared to where we are. The important thing I always say to people, you also got to compare yourself to other countries. And I think nowadays, I remember in those times back in 2017, 18, 19, we used to go to international conferences, and it felt like we were very good at the research and the science, but never quite at the implementation. And you could hear the frustration about access to pumps and CGM, but quite low. And now you go there and we are pretty much top of the tree, or one of them definitely. We're talking about competing with Sweden, which is the cutting edge of everything, which is fabulous. So it's been a long journey, but many people who have done the journey along the way. But yeah, I think we can look back with a lot of satisfaction as to where we are with technology.
Yeah. And so, getting it to this point, I think people don't always appreciate how much actual work that is, like turning the cog every day in a system that isn't just, people think about the NHS only as the NHS, like one NHS, and it's not one NHS, it's hundreds of organizations. So I suppose in terms of access, there are always going to be some challenges, or albeit to begin with anyway, and eventually they iron themselves out. I always say to my kids, don't buy the first version of a tech like Nintendo 2, don't get it. wait a bit longer. And I think it's the same with the technology, isn't it? There's always going to be bugs and stuff, and I don't mean bugs of the tech really, I mean bugs in the system of actually getting things ironed out. So whilst the announcements are always exciting, it's not always like the next day you're going to be able to get this technology, and it's not because the work's not being done, it's just
you can see it right now. You've got a very good example of that, and me and Fiona are working on it. We have got newer technologies come through which is not quite available, and you're going well, it's not there yet, and there are sensors out there which people can access. It's not quite combining with the pump yet. There's no reason it shouldn't be like that, but we're working on it, so hopefully we can be able to close that loop. But yeah, I think the NHS is a funny beast, and today I put out some about where we are. There are cuts everywhere, etc. So we are battling hard to sort of protect those cuts as much as we can in the central roles. But we are there, and I think Fiona quite nicely made the case, and Fiona's contribution to improving type 1 diabetes care in this country is beyond immense. And she has always been a fabulous sort of ally for me, a very good role model to see that at the end of the day, whatever be the obstacles, you always remember why you're doing the job. And that may mean that you will not make a lot of friends everywhere amongst your colleagues, but I think it's important to remember, and I've said this very, very, very clearly in lots of things, is that collaboration is good as long as it doesn't slip into collusion. And remember that philosophy of, am I getting to a point where I'm being asked to provide lesser care? You're not collaborated, right? Collaboration is what has been achieved. For example, yourselves, that's collaboration. Clinician, technology, you with your platform, and people living with diabetes, that's collaboration to improve care. If you're sitting in a meeting and you're agreeing to, do you know what, I'm going to stop this service, you have colluded. You have. So it's different, and I think I've learned a lot from Fiona along the way, that's how you press systems about technology access, what's happening, what do you think, and all that. So yeah.
Fantastic, thanks, Partha. So who do you feel benefits most from the technology then, and do you think it's suitable for everyone? We've got a question that's going to follow on from this. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's wrong that a group of clinicians sitting in a room, especially those living without type 1 diabetes, can make a call about who should qualify for it. I think it's wrong. I think everybody should get it. That's been my philosophy with CGM. We managed to do that for every children with HCL, and I've already started rolling the dice about what about everybody else, right? We've got a huge cupboard because of that and pregnancy and all that, but there should be no criteria. Why would you be denied something because of X or Y? And we have got a weird situation whereby people who work really hard, adults, get to an HbA1c 7.3, and the system says, or a computer says no. Well, that's not right. You suddenly. So I'm working with people concerned to try and close that, but we've got there with CGM, we've got there with children of HCL. So my question is, whoever feels they will benefit from it should have it, right?
Yeah. So, absolutely. We've got someone here saying, massive thank you for your tireless work, Partha, and I'm sure we all agree with this. And it is tireless because it's day in and day out, posting, blogging, and pushing for advocacy. So I suppose one of the more difficult questions is, what about when people are living lifestyles that the healthcare professional might not feel is conducive to deserving the tech sort of thing? So like, for example, young people are going out living their lives. They might be at university, they might be having jobs, they might be going to festivals, they might be doing things that are not following the rules of the tech. So where do we go with that?
I look after adolescents. I have done for about 16 years of my life as a consultant. I think all this is nonsense because people forget what they were themselves, right, as teenagers. And on top of that, got type 1 diabetes. You got to let them lead their life. I think, if anything, you need to give them better support. I don't believe that you're not deserving. Who are we to decide? If the system says, and I've been through that battle with a lot of clinicians. They won't come for education. They'll find a way. Don't worry about it. Your job is to provide it to them. Let them find their way. They'll talk to peer support. I think we've tried to get that philosophy in Portsmouth very clearly, and I say that to everybody. It is not your job to deny anybody, right? And why people do ask me a lot of questions on different social media platforms. I regularly get messages, and I try and get involved as much as I can. I just saw a lovely question pop up, which I'll answer quickly, which is there are differing. You're absolutely right. I think some areas are more prepared than others, which is why they're going at pace. I think some areas are not, but I can absolutely assure you, with the funding we have given this year, which has just been announced, that's about nearly £60 million. Children are top priority A, no question about it. So people will also say, but we've also got women who are trying for, women who are pregnant as a priority. There's a separate pot for that. So children, said this to everybody crystal clear. So from what we are hearing, I think by the end of March, we probably will have 2/3 of all children on it. I would say that if we manage to get 2/3 with £30 million on it, with 60 million, you should be able to cross the rest this year. So I would basically say that the waiting list shouldn't be there, and I think that's why we have a process whereby we go into every system where we are. So that's something that we are doing. Shall I take
we have a question. Yeah, that's brilliant. And a bit of a question here about the update with the funding of the G7 and Omnipod 5.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll answer that. We have verbal conversations a lot with the companies concerned. I think they're going through, they're dotting their I's, crossing their T's. So hopefully some good news shortly. They're very aware of our positions, that it needs right within the price range as everything is. And in fairness to them, they're all working hard at it. I am very, very positive that we should be able to clear that in the next, hopefully, few weeks or so. But rest assured, they know, if they're hearing on this call, they know my WhatsApp messages and my emails. I bother them.
Thank you. I mean, there is another question actually, which is quite an interesting question as well, which is if a child is taken to hospital or needed surgery, what happens about the hybrid closed loop system? And I know we're looking at that at the moment in terms of education around non-specialists and things like that. So what's your thoughts on this? I mean, I think in children as well, it's tricky, isn't it?
So one of the things we are doing with the explosion of technology, we are, as Maddie mentioned, working with every stakeholder, in medicine, in emergency medicine, hospital wards, royal colleges, to create some very clear patterns about understanding of what these things are. They're not just toys, don't take them off it. And it is very much A lot of work is going to be rolled out on that front. With children, I think we are a little bit more assured because I think we have got more pediatric teams are much more switched on from that point of view, and they do try and do a lot of the work, but still there are gaps, so to speak. But yes, we're aware of that. And one of the things is about education. So I tend to do as much education for other colleges as much as possible so that it's there, people are aware of what technology is. But yes, that's absolutely a big focus area for us to keep an eye on, to make sure people don't go like, oh, what's this white box? Shall I take it off and see what happens? We had a bit of that. To begin with, and we go like, no, that's actually supposed to help you. And now they understand that actually, oh, so I can see glucose. I was like, yeah, you don't even.
Yeah. I mean, as a parent here, and we have had visits to hospitals, I think, it's something we would keep a very close eye on as well. And I'm sure most parents would, that really that is you specialist in your child's care, aren't you? You know your child, you know what they, so just keeping an eye on that's probably always worth anyway. But good question. What if your diabetes team tries to suggest that you change CGM or insulin pump? Would you think that the patient or the person living with diabetes here should have the choice, or is it sometimes a strategic thing, or what's your thoughts on that?
Mike, I'll give you a very good example. I think the first is why are you asking me to change something that I'm comfortable with? I think that's the fun. So let me give you an example that is okay when the clinician does it. So we have this one particular system, which is actually the only one tested in a setting of pregnancy. Okay. So we would say you need to change your system because to keep the fetus healthy and make sure you've got a safe baby, and you really need to be on the system, right? And I have rarely met to-be moms going like, nah, I don't. So I think we explain why you're doing it. But if there's no other reason apart from, oh, somebody's told me to do it, I think you're well within the rights to say no. And I would never ask anybody to change that, because why would you? That makes no sense. One of the underlying reasons maybe, and I think that's the thing to explore, is that they may not be confident about the system. In which case, I think being that open and honest as a clinician to say, you know what, I really don't know a hell of a lot about the system. So would you mind if I learn about it, or can you teach me? And I think if you're open like that as a clinician, that's a much better understanding. So I think if I would want somebody to have a different sensor, for example, I would explain to them why. But I cannot recall a conversation where I have suggested that. It's mostly because they have said, oh, do you know what, this is happening with my adhesive, or I'm not sure about the one, or it's a bit bulky and it's catching, that's stuff. So I'm not a big fan of clinicians doing that unless they've got a really solid clinical reason for doing it.
Yeah, thank you, Partha. That's really, really helpful. And I know people get very attached to their tech, don't they? Changes are hard. When you want you optimize that system, you're like, I don't understand it now. It's yours, yeah. So looking ahead then, how do you see the future of diabetes management kind of evolving with the technology over the next few years?
I think the fully closed loop is next. I think that comes, that's where it will happen. We are going to become, I think, the top country in the world as far as HCL access. I think we, by 26 January, I reckon we would have shifted the whole generation of kids onto HCL. And, if all goes well, we're probably looking at taking away complications from a whole set of kids across the board, right? And I think we'll be there. And I think technology will become common basic standard care. That's what will happen. So that's where technology will evolve. I think the work so AI will have a role to play in this arena, which will be interesting to see how it plays out. And I also believe reliance on healthcare professionals will go down because people are smarter, people have more gadgets, people will have more AI, and definitely more peer support to manage it. So that's what will happen with type 1.
Yeah. And I mean, from the community point of view, we really need that, because the misunderstanding of living with an invisible condition like type 1 is still massive, and we still talk about stigma hugely in schools and workplaces and everywhere else. So just a huge thanks for all your work, Partha. I think we are really in an amazing place because of you, Fiona Fullier, as well, who works at the NHS Diabetes Programme. Sorry, Path, I think you've got
I know you're fine when you say these. I'm not a very big fan of listening to these things, but I always say that people, and I've said this to a lot of national leaders, you've got to look at it as a job where you give 110%. And I always say it is the job, right? So my job, so when you see things like cuts and people go like, why haven't you got any cuts? That's because I've spent a lot of time, a lot of evenings talking to people I probably don't want to talk to, marking the case, showing the data, showing the feedback from mums and dads and kids, and going like, this is why it needs to happen. So that is the job. And that's why I find, Fiona is very much of the same cloth, and she will battle with anybody, which is brilliant. How it should be.
So big thank you. What we're going to, Fiona says, completely agree. So what we're going to make sure is the FAQs go on the page on DigiTalk so that everyone can see some of these answers. Will help. We can stick them out on social media as well and stuff for anybody, and any other questions that comes in over time. We can maybe get some answers to them, get them on the FAQs page. But a big thank you today for coming, because I know that you've got something else on and you've managed to fit us in. So huge appreciation. And yeah, we're now going to go on and see a little bit of a demo of what else is available.
Can I say one thing? Where I'm actually to have an online conversation with a kid with type 1 who wants to do, he's doing a school dissertation, so he wants to interview me. But no, I wanted to finish this and before running by also saying a lot of good things about you guys. I think DigiBete and you, Maddie and Tom, I think you've done some amazing work. And I think that a lot of community and clinicians owe a lot to you. So it's been a wonderful partnership working with you. It's been I can't remember how many years now, 8-9 years since we first met.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think you absolutely changed the conversation. So it was brilliant. So thank you for all the work.
Well, big thank you. And yes, it is all about collaboration. I think that's a really good place to end this segment, because we need that, don't we? So big thank you, and to anybody else who wants to be involved in the DigiBete talks around technology and around peer support. We'll be coming up for DigiTalks on that later in the year, and around mental health and diabetes. We're really happy to talk to you, and please do get in touch. And thank you, Partha. So we're now going to hear from Sam, who's going to take us through a little bit of a presentation around where you can find all the different resources on technology, because I appreciate there's a lot out there on the different platforms with DigiBete now that you may not know are there. So big thank you. Over to you, Sam.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying tonight's event. In this section, I'm going to show you around our DigiBete technology resources, which are available in the app and on our website at www.digibete.org. I'll also talk to you about the new schools training platform and signpost you to other technology resources as well. To help you find all the resources, we'll be putting links in the chat, and there's also a QR code on each of the slides. So let's start by showing you around our technology page. On the DigiBete homepage, there's a technology section for you to explore all of the resources that we have. You can find links to the different manufacturers' technology pages by clicking on the relevant logo, and you'll be taken to each sponsor's website. You can also find support resources for the various types of technology, so that's insulin delivery systems, glucose monitoring systems, hybrid closed-loop systems, and data uploading. In the insulin delivery systems section, you can find out about injections and connected pens, tethered and tube pumps, and patch pumps. And for a real-life peer support perspective, there are films with young people living with type 1 diabetes sharing their experiences of using pumps and HCL. Under glucose monitoring systems, you can find out about the different methods of checking glucose levels, from finger pricking to flash to glucose monitoring. Our next resource I'd like to show you is our translation tool. This is accessed on the website by opening the ReachDeck toolbar. To open the ReachDeck toolbar on any page of our website, you just click on the little person icon as shown in the middle of the slide here, and this usually appears in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. This will open the toolbar, and from here you'll be able to translate all of our written resources on our website into 99 different languages. You can scan the QR code here on the screen to view and download a helpful user guide, and the user guide can also be found on the training page of our website, and I'll be referencing this tool again in other slides in a few moments. Our next resource is our Making Sense of Diabetes technology guides. The technology guides are available in 12 different languages. You can also use the ReachDeck tool to further translate the technology guides into those 99 different languages. The Making Sense of Diabetes Technology Guide will also do as the name suggests and help you make sense of all the different types of technology in a concise format. The guide has information to help you understand things like what is glucose monitoring, trends and arrows, the components of a CGM, from the device you insert the sensor to the sensor and transmitter itself, and the phone or controller element where you will see your glucose readings. It also explains the different types of delivery system and the benefits. It has information about connected pens, insulin pumps and HCL systems, information about bolus and basal insulin when using a pump, the different types of pumps from a tethered or tubed pump to a tubeless patch pump or pod as you may know it. It also explains the 3 components of HCL, how it works and which devices can work together. The guide also goes through some of the benefits of using HCL, some practical tips to think of when using HCL as well. So if you're new to diabetes technology, hopefully this guide will be really helpful to you. Next up is our Essentials and Technology page, where you will find a selection of films to help support you in the daily management of type 1 diabetes. Our Essentials page can be accessed on our DigiBete website via the Essentials tab in the menu bar. And from here, you can also have the option to select these resources in 12 different languages in case that's helpful. Next, I'd like to show you our technology posters. These can be accessed on our homepage from within the different age category sections. You can click on the relevant age for you. We have resources from under 5s right up to 19 to 25s and all ages in between. In each age area, you can find information such as top tips for failing tech or for top tips for keeping your tech. As I mentioned before, you can also use our translation tool to translate these technology posters and other written resources into 99 different languages. And to supplement our technology posters, we also have our technology videos with top tips for tech failures as well, tech issues, and top tips for keeping tech. These technology videos can also be accessed from our homepage from within the age areas. You'll be able to find the right age for you, and as I said, we have resources ranging from under 5s to 19 to 25s and all ages in between. I'd also like to tell you about our dedicated Type 1 Stories page. Here you'll find a whole range of stories from the Type 1 diabetes community. These are a great watch and you can share them with your family, friends and the wider community to help others understand a little more of what it's really like living with Type 1 diabetes. In the Type 1 Stories, you will see the community sharing and talking about their diabetes technology. Please be aware all of these stories are personal stories, so any details given in relation to self-management is for the purpose of sharing experiences and is for information only. You should always speak to your diabetes team for individual care advice and support. Next up, we have the new schools training platform, which you can access online at www.diabetesiinschools.org or scan the QR code here. The schools training platform has been developed to provide primary and secondary schools teachers and staff with the knowledge they need to safely support children and young people in their care who are living with type 1 diabetes. The platform was developed in collaboration with Breakthrough T1D, Diabetes UK, the Leeds Children's Hospital and the Children and Young People's National Network. We have been delighted to support the training platform for schools and the wider community. The platform has also been co-designed with children, young people, healthcare professionals and school staff. In creating this new schools training platform, we were particularly keen to ensure the inclusion of learning around the emotional impact of living with type 1 diabetes, the practicalities of managing food and a comprehensive understanding of the different types of diabetes technology now being used to manage type 1 diabetes. On the screen, you can see a little tour around the platform. From the homepage, diabetesiinschools.org, you can register for the courses, choosing either primary or secondary, and then access the comprehensive modules. There are 6 modules from Introduction to Type 1 Diabetes, Diabetes Care in Primary or Secondary School, Emotional Wellbeing, Technology, Food Management, and Sports and Exercise. For example, in the technology module, there is a video highlighting the importance of technology for children in managing their diabetes and the necessity of having technology available in school. There is also a section on the importance of having a mobile phone or an additional handset and how it is crucial for managing type 1 diabetes effectively in children. There is lots of information and downloadable resources about glucose monitoring, insulin delivery systems, hybrid closed loop, and a section on managing tech issues as well. And at the end of the module, there's an opportunity to complete an assessment and receive a certificate of completion. The Diabetes in Schools platform is freely available for everyone, so please have a look, register, complete the modules, and more importantly, signpost your schools and colleges, as well as your diabetes team, to the school training platform. It's been a great success so far, and we've had lots of really wonderful and positive feedback. On this next slide, I'd like to share with you a link to our technology survey, which we would love for you to complete and help us shape more support resources in the future. It will only take a few minutes. It asks about various aspects of diabetes management experiences, such as management methods, CGM and pump preferences, as well as support and training received. Please scan the QR code and the DigiBete team will be putting a link in the chat box as well for you. Thank you in advance for your support with completing this and being involved in the work that we do. Everything we do is to support the community, so your input really is so valuable. Just to mention as well our further events from the DigiTalks event series. Hope you're enjoying this evening, and you will be very welcome to join us on these future events that you can see on the screen here. They're a great opportunity to learn about the different diabetes technologies, hear lived experiences from the community, and listen and chat to the technology companies. On our DigiTalks page, you can watch back previous events and register for upcoming events with Dexcom, Abbott and Medtronic on the dates shown here. You can use the QR code on the slide here, and a link will also be posted in the chat box as well. Lastly, I'd like to share with you some further technology resources from the wonderful teams at Diabetes UK and Breakthrough T1D. Please take a look at their websites for more information and information about diabetes technology and much, much more. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found this little segment of this evening's DigiBete Technology event helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please pop them in the chat. The DigiBete team are here to help. We'd love to hear what you thought of our technology resources. Thank you and enjoy the rest of this evening's event.
So thank you, Sam. That was really good to have a run through, and hopefully you all found that really helpful. I think, it wouldn't be a DigiBete event without hearing from families and young people themselves. So we've got a little bit of a short film to show you in a minute with the lived experience. But first, we're just going to remind everybody, how does it actually work? So for some of us on the call tonight, we may be very familiar with hybrid closed loop, but for others, we might be thinking, how does this magic thing, the sensors and the pumps all kind of work together? So we're just going to very quickly show you a 2-minute explainer of that before we hear from some of our families.
How closed-loop systems work. Closed-loop insulin delivery systems are also known as automated insulin delivery systems, or the artificial pancreas. But what exactly is closed-loop insulin delivery, and how does it work? A closed-loop system tries to mimic what the human pancreas would do by automatically calculating how much insulin to give a person with diabetes to keep their blood sugar or glucose levels in the normal range. A closed-loop insulin delivery system consists of 3 components: a glucose sensor, a closed-loop algorithm, and an insulin pump. The continuous glucose monitor, or glucose sensor, is applied to the skin and measures glucose levels automatically every few minutes. The glucose levels are sent in real time to a computer program or algorithm. The algorithm then calculates how much insulin the person with diabetes needs to keep their glucose levels in the normal range. This could be lots of insulin if glucose levels are high, or no insulin at all if glucose levels are low. The algorithm tells the pump how much insulin to deliver. All currently available closed-loop systems are hybrid systems. This means that the person with diabetes still needs to count carbohydrates and tell the closed-loop system when they are going to eat a meal. But between meals and overnight, the closed-loop system automatically administers the optimal dose of insulin to keep glucose levels in the target range. Parents and carers are able to see their child's glucose levels at all times via an app on their phones, even when the child is not with them. This helps parents feel reassured and means that children can be looked after by other caregivers such as school staff or grandparents.
Hello. So yeah, hopefully you found that useful in seeing how those things work. And actually on the site, it's really just a signpost. Those sort of films are available for to share with your families, to share with carers, and there's different ones as well available on the schools platforms. And it's really just so that we can educate our community around what actually hybrid closed loop is, because I think sometimes people think they know, but they don't always know. So it's really helpful. Also, just to say, in the chat, we've put a link to the Making Sense of Technology guide, which, you know, you may be on here tonight, you may be advocates for others in the community. Please share it widely. It's available in 12 languages, as I think you saw in Sam's presentation, but that document is really valuable for people trying to understand what it all means. And then there are all the explainers as well about CGMs, about hybrid closed loop and how pumps work. So now we're going to hear from some young people. So this particular film is young people talking about their experiences and families, about the quality of life that hybrid closed loop can kind of bring to them. But I wanted to sort of say in the future events, so on the Thursdays that are coming up with Dexcom, Abbott and Medtronic, we have live panels, quite extended live panels of young people talking, taking questions on the chat as well. So on DigiTalk. So please do come along and attend those and hear more about specific technologies. But this is really tonight just giving you an introduction about kind of what quality of life could look like if you're using the technology.
It's easier now because I don't have to turn my head a lot to see it. It's not that painful. I don't have to do so many finger pricks. And when I eat, they don't have to give me medicine from the pump. They can just give it from the phone.
From a selfish perspective, we've managed to get our sleep back, and that's been really the transformative part of it. We were effectively getting up 3 to 4 times a night in order to kind of deal with all the alarms, all the glucose use, or all the corrections that needed to happen at night.
And now I don't have to wake up like 5 times in the middle of the night for a finger prick test.
Having to hurt him over and over again to keep him alive, essentially, having to do the constant finger pricks, and that was a big thing for me. It's having to do those pricks in his fingers, and he'd have little bruises and he'd have little scabs, and then he'd run away from us when we would come near him if he saw the finger pricker device. And that's one of the major benefits for us around the closed loop, because we don't have to finger prick him at all.
I am on my real stay. Yeah, it's very easy now because all I do is, instead of having the red pen, I just dial it in, then it's done.
It's so much easier. We change the sensor every 10 days and life has come back.
Now I can play, and they just take the phone and give the medicine and put it near me instead of distracting me to give the medicine.
Now I can go on play dates and I can just look at my phone, and my mum or dad can just leave me there. They go and pick me up later, and I just have some sweets if I'm alone, or they give me something to eat. So yeah, it's massively easier than my mum and dad had to stay there when I had a play date.
Obviously, now that we've got the closed loop system, Kai's grandparents feel a lot more confident, and we can then go into another room, or Shane, I can now go for a little walk, my husband and I can go for a walk, and they've got the fact that you can see his blood glucose 24/7 is just incredible, and the fact that we can get alerts to our own mobile phones, we get alerts to our watches now. It's just peace of mind knowing that he's safe.
It is a bit more easier of when I had before this. You know what numbers are these?
For Ed to be able to run around and go to friends, and he can have play dates, and he can, you know, as long as he knows what to put into the phone, he's absolutely fine. And it's just changed our lives dramatically, and it changed him. He's a lot happier,
And I'm a lot more independent.
Wonderful to hear from those young ones as well as the parents. And, you know, we're not forgetting older young people and adults living with type 1 diabetes as well. We actually had an interesting conversation the other week with a young person asking an older young person, probably someone about 22, why don't you wear a pump? And they said, oh, it's because I don't like the feeling of putting it on. And the little one said, oh, it's okay, you get used to it. And sometimes the little ones, they teach us so much, don't they, about resilience. Fantastic. So we will be hearing lots more from our young adults as well across the series on the panel. So please do come and join us for those. We're just going to hear now a short video from, not videos, a presentation from Breakthrough T1D, who are showing us a little bit about some of the resources that they've created.
Thank you, DigiBete team. So I'm Leslie Jordan. I'm from Breakthrough T1D. We are Breakthrough T1D, the leading global type 1 diabetes research and advocacy charity. Together, we're driving breakthroughs towards a world where no one lives with type 1. Until then, we help make everyday life better for the people who face it. The first QR code here will take you to our comprehensive webpage about the different policies in England and Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland about who can access hybrid closed-loop systems on the NHS. In England, rollout of hybrid closed-loop is progressing well among children and young people, and we expect things to speed up for those aged 19 or over from now on. Most adults may have to wait another couple of years, though, according to the 5-year implementation plan. It's important to remember that hybrid closed-loop won't take the whole burden away completely. Ask your care team to help you choose which system might work best for you. Not all algorithms work the same, and you need to consider that alongside the pump and CGM. We know there are issues in Northern Ireland and Scotland. These are being addressed, so please bear with and ask your diabetes care team for an update at each appointment. On our website, our guide to type 1 technology gives you information about the different ways to take insulin and measure glucose levels. Tech isn't just about pumps and hybrid closed loop though. Smart or connected pens can help with the constant decision making about dosing your insulin, assisted by CGM trends. Our YouTube channel has lots of helpful and interesting videos, including our previous virtual discovery events, people's stories and research updates. If you have questions that haven't been answered by our website, please do get in touch with the community engagement team. Discovery Days are free information events, some online and some in person, covering all 4 nations across the year. They're a great opportunity to meet others with type 1, find out about the latest research progress, and hear inspirational talks from a range of speakers. They also include a technology exhibition so that you can find out more about type 1 tech, get your questions answered by the exhibitors, and feel the technologies for yourself. Thank you for listening to me. If you need to contact us, you can use that QR code to reach our community engagement team.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Leslie. And I think, you know, if we're talking about shout outs, those of you who don't know, Leslie is absolutely dedicated to access and to supporting people with any challenges they have, and it's well worth getting in touch with Breakthrough T1D. Leslie will support you around those issues as well. Together with Breakthrough and the work at Diabetes UK in terms of the peer networks, the Together Type 1 programme, there's lots of peer support out there as well that you can reach out and connect. And today we've also got a button called the Connect button, recently launched on the DigiBete app. If you haven't explored that, go and have a look. And there's a psychology button as well called Coping with Diabetes. So to support both aspects, connecting with other people, thinking about difficult feelings, and tech comes into that because, you know, technology is brilliant, but it does also sometimes bring up other more visible aspects of diabetes and challenges. So big thank you to the DigiBete Talks team and everyone behind the scenes, Tom, Sam, Michelle, Heather, Rob, and everybody who makes DigiBete work. And to you all today for turning up, to Partha, to Fiona, to Leslie, and all the team at NHS England and our partners at Breakthrough T1D and JDRF. We hope you found that the event useful today and that you'll come and join us every Thursday now to look at the different technologies, hear from young people on the panels. It's going to be a very exciting month. I think we look forward to seeing you there. Please tell us how you found the event. Was it helpful? You can send in any feedback to us. We'd always love to hear from you. And I think I've got the survey here. So if you want to just take the QR code here, if we'd love you to fill in our DigiBete Tech survey, hear about your own experiences as well, and how we can improve like resources on DigiBete and support for you managing diabetes. Remember that we've got everything on the app, the website. The app is going through a massive update. By the end of the summer, you're going to see some really big changes, all good. So you're going to see you'll be able to get to content quicker. I'll say more about that probably in an update event later on in the summer. Website too is having an update, but at the moment, use the search button. If you are looking for something like you want sort of guidelines on things, you'll find stuff very quickly that way, or the age areas. Just a reminder of these other events then. So next Thursday we have Dexcom. The Thursday, then on the 22nd, we have an Abbott event about Libre, and then we have the Medtronic events too. So you can explore the different technologies available to you and how they might work. We streamed this obviously, but it will be available again on DigiTalks on the website. So digibete.org/DigiTalks for later. Big thank you for all your questions and for joining the event. And unbelievably, we are finishing on the nail at 7 o'clock. So thanks very much, everybody. Please put any questions in the chat. We'll stay on for another 10 minutes or so to answer anything from you. I hope you have a good evening and that you manage to find the diabetes technology that works best for you and your family.